If you've ever started a new faith habit with the best of intentions, and you may have done it earlier this year, only to watch it slowly disappear as life got busy, you are not alone. You didn't fail. You didn't lack discipline. You are not bad at consistency. The real issue is this. Most faith habits are built on convenience, not commitment. And they're built without any regard to how you are actually designed to live and to work and to carry the responsibilities that you have in your life. So that's why they don't last. So in today's video, what we're going to be looking at is why these faith habits often fall apart, especially in your busy and demanding lives and different seasons of your life. We're also going to look at why discipline alone is not the issue and what is actually missing. We'll also look at the difference between rigid faith habits and sustainable faith rhythms. Very, very different. And we're going to look at how to build a faith life that stays really anchored to God without starting over every time your life changes. Hey there, wise woman. This is Deneen TB, your faith growth and work alignment strategist, helping driven Christian women, professionals and business owners really design those faith growth rhythms, that practices that actually fit their lives without the pressure of doing more, so that you can lead with purpose, live out your mission, and create lasting influence for God in your work and in your life. So let's get started by looking at the problem that we rarely name, okay? So most Christian women have been taught to grow spiritually by adding habits. You have to be doing habits. So you set an alarm earlier so you can get up and read your Bible every morning, even when your energy is already depleted. Or you extend your prayer time, assuming that more minutes automatically equals deeper connection with God. Or you hold yourself to that daily consistency, even in those seasons where you really do require flexibility. And then you restart your plan again, believing that more effort put in will finally make it stick this time. But habits, especially those rigid ones, are built on the assumption that life stays predictable. They assume that your mornings are quiet, that your energy is consistent, that your schedule is stable, that your responsibilities don't constantly shift. Have you been there? Is that what's happening? Do you see yourself in this? For us as women who lead and build and create, and manage teams, raise families, and carry that mental load, that assumption is simply not true. So when those habits break, when the alarm doesn't go off, when the routine gets skipped, or your plans just fall apart, the conclusion becomes for most of us in our heads, you know what? I must not be disciplined enough. But that's not a faith problem. That's not a commitment problem. It's a design problem. So why doesn't discipline alone work? Discipline is not bad. I don't want anyone to say that. I'm a very disciplined person myself, but not all of us are. But if we are not disciplined without design awareness, then it becomes exhausting. And here's what discipline-only faith plans actually ignore. They ignore the season that you're in, intense work cycles, travel, caregiving, health. They also ignore your wiring, how you naturally connect to God. That's what I talk about all the time. They also ignore your capacity. That's your energy, your focus, your margin. They also ignore your real schedule. Not the ideal one that you want to have, but the one that you actually have. When discipline ignores these realities, faith slowly, it becomes something that you fit in when it's convenient instead of something that truly anchors you. And that's where many women start to quietly just drift, from that commitment back into convenience without even realizing it. So let's look at some things about habit versus rhythm, which is what I talk about a lot, right? This is really a shift because a habit that is rigid. It's built around repetition and sameness. Yes, we have habits in our lives and they can be really good. But again, it's about designing your correct habits for you. So when you have a habit, it's your MO, right? I do this at this time this way. So habits assume that your life can revolve around the practice. And maybe it's a practice for somebody else. Because the rhythm, on the other hand, is very responsive. It's built around the relationship and awareness. So you can say things like, I stay connected to God in the way that flexes with my life. Okay, rhythms do not abandon structure. They actually adapt structure to fit your season, your capacity, your responsibilities. A rhythm actually recognizes that your schedule will change, right? That's what life does. It also recognizes that your energy will fluctuate. I have MS. My energy definitely fluctuates. It also it recognizes that your season will shift. And we need strategies when that happens. None of that really disqualifies you from having a meaningful, anchored walk with God. Where habits often break is when your life gets really full. Rhythms, they actually hold steady because they're designed to move with you. That's why I do this, right? They're not competing with you. They're flowing with you. And that's why faith isn't meant to reset every time your calendar changes. It's meant to remain anchored, even as life ebbs and flows and changes. So instead of asking, well, how do I force this habit to work again? Rhythms actually ask a better question. What does staying connected to God look like in this season? And how can I commit to that without burning out? That's the shift. The reframe, the shift that we want to make from performance to presence, from convenience to commitment, from starting over again and again to staying anchored all the time. You know, entrepreneurs intuitively understand systems. You already know things like systems that don't scale break. Systems that don't flex fail. Systems that ignore reality get abandoned. Well, faith works the same way. A faith habit that only works in those ideal conditions isn't sustainable. It's fragile. But a faith rhythm that is designed to support you through the pressure, through the responsibilities, through the change, does not collapse underneath of it. A sustainable faith is not about doing more, as I always say. It's about building a repeatable, adaptable system for staying connected to God. One that holds steady even when your workload increases, your season shifts, or your capacity just feels stretched. That's why I don't teach that try harder faith. I teach designed faith rhythms. Instead of chasing the perfect habit or trying to copy someone else's faith routine, build a rhythm that can actually carry your real life. A sustainable faith rhythm is anchored. That means rooted in who God is, not in how well you can perform and how consistent you've been lately. Your connection to Him isn't fragile or even dependent on perfect follow through. A sustainable faith rhythm is designed, aligned with how you naturally engage with God, heart, soul, mind, and strength, rather than forcing yourself into these practices that drain you and that don't fit how you are wired. A sustainable faith rhythm is responsive. It's able to shift in changing seasons in your energy and your responsibilities without breaking. When life changes, the rhythm adjusts. Your faith doesn't disappear. A sustainable faith rhythm is integrated. It's woven into your work, into your leadership, your daily life. Instead of sitting separate in that quiet time box that feels really disconnected from everything else that you have to carry in your life. This is the difference between faith as an obligation, something that you have to try to squeeze in, to keep up with, to feel guilty about if you don't get to it or miss it, to a faith as an anchor, something that steadies you, that grounds you, that remains present no matter what your day looks like. And that's why so many women feel relief when they finally stop rebuilding from scratch, because they're no longer relying on that convenience or that willpower, but on a rhythm designed to really hold them steady. This is what I do differently. My work sits at the intersection of faith and design and real world responsibility. I help women stop burning out spiritually, not trying harder, but by understanding how they're designed to stay connected to God in real life. That means breaking the cycle of guilt-driven habits and really releasing the assumption that faith has to compete with your work, with your leadership, with your family demands. Instead, we build faith rhythms that move from the convenience to real commitment without any pressure, without any shame, or even starting over every time your life changes. For most women at this point, the next step isn't more information. It's a reset, a way to steady their faith and reconnect with God without forcing a new routine or just raising the bar higher and higher and never achieving it. That's why I created something very special. It's called Anchored, Guiding Against Spiritual Drift. It's a free 5-day devotional designed to help you gently realign your faith and move from that convenience back into commitment. It's really a short guided reset that helps you recognize spiritual drift and re-anchor your connection with God right where you are. Again, no pressure, no guilt. And of course, when you're ready to go deeper, I have an upcoming virtual workshop where we build this out together. It is in the workshop, I'll guide you through understanding how you're designed to grow spiritually. I've touched on that a little bit today. We'll be identifying why those past faith habits didn't stick. I hope you'll get some ahas around that. And creating those faith rhythms that flex with your work, your family, and your season. And then building a sustainable connection with God that doesn't collapse when life changes. Again, it isn't about adding another commitment. It's about creating a solution that finally fits. Because God didn't design your faith to be fragile. He designed it to be lived right where you are, right where He has you. You don't need a better habit. You need a rhythm that actually fits your real life. So let me know down in the comments, or simply take a moment to reflect on this. Where do you notice your faith drifting most right now? Is it in your schedule? Is it in your energy? Or is it from your expectations? Remember, everything you need is down in the description to get the Anchored 5-day devotional or to sign up for the next workshop. This is Deneen TB. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.